What is good, boys? Today I'm going to be teaching you how to never relapse on Nofap ever again. So if you find yourself struggling with Nofap, you mess up here and there, if you can't even get on it in the first place, there's a couple key mindset things that you need to do in order to make this shift and have success for life. So what it's all going to come down to is your identity. See, the first time I succeeded on Nofap for the long term, it was 8 months plus, it became an identity that I did not fap. I didn't watch porn and I didn't fap. It was just something I did not do. And eventually I fucked up. This is actually similar to Hamza's story. I was watching a video of his and he was scrolling on Tinder and just kind of went down this bad rabbit hole. And it's exactly what happened to me. And I ended up fapping after those 8 months. And it kind of broke that identity. And one of the big motivations for me was to get girls. And at this point, I'd gotten plenty of girls. So it kind of all my reasons for like my why statement, the reasons of doing this kind of got messed up and I broke that identity. And it took me a long time to figure out what was that like missing key as to why I would slip up here and there after going strong for so long. And it really just comes down to your why statement and your identity that you go behind this. So the biggest thing I can tell you is you need to find something to identify with as to why you're going to be on NoFap. Yeah, your identity is that you are, on NoFap, you're a NoFap, or you don't watch porn and don't masturbate. Great. But you need to have a higher purpose. That could be a list of 20 different things, right? You can go with mental health, your sexual health. You can do it so that you can perform better with girls and you won't have erectile dysfunction. That fucking can happen to you if you do that shit long enough. All these different things can be your whys. You need to figure out, write a list out. You can have all of them on this list. The more powerful the list of why you're going to do this, the better. But you really need to identify what is the reason for you staying strong and not doing this. And once you realize that, it becomes a lot easier to identify with it. But if you don't have anything guiding you and no higher purpose to align with, it becomes hard to identify with something. If I were to ask you, can you go on NoFap for an entire year? And you say, no. Okay. And I rephrase the question now. Can you do NoFap for an entire year if at the end of the year you were given $1 million guaranteed? You would say, fuck yes. So it all comes down to the why and the reason behind doing something. Genuinely, if you were to be given $1 million, would you stay on NoFap for a year? I think you would. And I think you would forget about fapping and porn and you'd have that higher purpose driving you that you were going to be rich after a year's time of doing this. It's a very small sacrifice in order for the higher good. So you need to place enough value on those why reasons. How important is your mental health to you? Think about it. I've actually slipped up, right? So I'm going to be completely honest. I've slipped up. And there was days when usually the worst is when you drink, because when you drink, your mental health isn't good. And if, you're a night after not pulling and something like that happens, sometimes I would slip up then. That would be one of my common occurrences. When I'm really purpose and mission driven during the week, it's not hard to stay on NoFap. But like after a night of not pulling, you get bummed, especially when you're used to pulling a lot. So for example, there was like a Friday, I didn't pull, Saturday I messed up. And that Saturday night going out, I'm actually grateful for it because how much I realized the difference in the mindset is. One, your energy is so much lower. Two, you don't approach girls the same way with that same confidence and aura that you do when you're on NoFap. So there's so many reasons as to why you should be doing this. You just got to place enough value on them. And if you don't even know what those potential benefits are because you haven't gotten on this, you need to just give it the try and have that blind belief that this will change your life because the benefits are enormous. It is night and day being on NoFap and what happens to you mentally and physically. It's enormous. It's night and day. So if you're not on it, you need to get on it and trust the process. If you've already experienced it before and you're messing up, you're losing your why statement, like what happened to me in the past, you need to understand the consequences of your actions and the benefits of the sacrifices you'll make. If you can identify those two things and really see how the pros outweigh the cons and really align yourself with the higher purpose of doing this, identify with Nofap and how this is going to benefit your life, it becomes a lot easier. But if you're just trying to do this for the sake of being on Nofap, or I'm going to try and have a streak, fuck a streak. I don't count the days. Counting the days is bullshit. Every day you should just be on Nofap. It shouldn't be like, oh, I'm on day 3. No, it's just you're on Nofap. And if you did happen to mess up, the worst thing you can do is be on a streak, because now, say you went 20 days and you fucked up, now you're back at 0. Whereas instead, it's like progressively overloading in the gym. If you missed one day in the gym that was scheduled and wasn't supposed to be a rest day, would you be terribly upset and be like, my 2 weeks of progress, my 3 weeks is all gone? No, you made all that progress. Now you just missed a day. You get back on track. You don't let it be too big of a thing. If that's what I really recommend, if you do mess up, is you try and stick to the identity and identify the higher purpose and the cons that came along with it. Learn from your mistakes. Take some time to journal and reflect on what this experience did for you. What were the negatives that came along with it? And what were some of the positives that you lost, that you'd been working so hard at in this process? Doing things like that is going to allow you to actually make those identity shifts and identify with the things that are going to help you out in the long run. You got to be very conscious about this. You can't just be a mindless little monkey who gets an urge and goes and jerks off. Come on. So, the key steps here. Find your pros and cons, right? Your higher purpose that you're aiming for, the mental health, the better sexual health, more attraction to girls, more confidence, and then identify all the things that it gets taken away from you if you were to do this. So you can list all those. And then you really just want to identify with being on Nofap long term. You need to make a commitment that this is a lifelong thing because of all those pros that you're going to get from this, and that there really is no benefit. And any sort of associations you have in your mind, you need to dissociate them. Where it's like you might have a false limiting belief that this allows you to go to sleep, or this makes you feel good. And any pleasure that is followed by pain is not pleasure in the first place. That is fake pleasure. It's artificial dopamine, and that is a trick. It's like a devil. It's in your mind, and it's here to harm you, not to help you. So you need to make dissociations between any limiting beliefs that you have. That's another thing that I didn't mention earlier, is you need to dissociate from limiting beliefs and cut their ties, where it's like coming doesn't feel good if it's not having sex. To do it artificially with porn, that's weird and it doesn't feel good. So you need to dissociate from these things and allow yourself to be aligned with your higher purpose and identify with Nofap. That is how you're never going to relapse on Nofap again and have this as a lifelong journey that's only going to make you the best man you can possibly be. So if you got any value from this video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you're going to get on this long term and how your progress has been in the past and just your experience overall with Nofap. I'd love to hear about it, and I can also give you some advice if you have any questions down below. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.